and wish you all a good evening and welcome each one of you to the 172nd monthly meeting of FOSWL. Today's meeting will be hosted by Sudhakar Potluri. Many of you who have attended earlier meetings know about him. He is a graduate from NIT Warangal, what is now known as NIT. It was known as Regional Engineering College in those days. And he later joined Electronics Corporation of India Limited, I think as a technical officer or graduate trainee, Sudhakar?
It's a technical officer.
Technical officer and retired as its chairman and managing director a few years ago. And he has contributed significantly to the country's security and power sectors, through his work in control systems for nuclear plants, where I think Mrs. Uma Sheshadri also was working, and to the defense program in various missile programs. So he will be the host, and I now invite Sudhakar to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, Subragaru. Good evening and welcome to this 172nd meeting of FOSWL Hyderabad. FOSWL stands for Friends on Same Wavelength. And we meet every third Saturday evening at 6:30 p.m. Essentially, this group is for senior citizens, but we are encouraging younger people to join us so that they can also share their experiences and even the senior people can get benefited by the same. Those people who are attending for the first time into this meeting, they may kindly type in their mail address and mobile number so that they can receive the future communication on our meetings. Generally, it is the practice to start any meeting with the prayer. And now may I request Shri Vijay Raghavan Endlore to read out the prayer to start the meeting. Vijay Raghavan.
Good evening to all of you. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay Raghavan.
Welcome.
I am deeply saddened to share with you the loss of our two senior members. One of them is Shri Rambabu Moturi, an IAS retired, who was our founder vice president. The second person was Mr. Subbarao Madireddy, who was our ardent supporter and patron. Incidentally, he is also the younger brother of Sri M.L. Swami, the founder of this group, FOSWL. As a mark of respect to the departed souls, may I request all the participating members to observe 1 minute silence in their own places. Thank you, everybody, for this nice gesture to the departed souls. Every meeting of FOSWL is an endowment lecture in the name of someone, and this month's lecture is in the name of late Shri Madireddy Shivaramakrishna Garu and Shri Jagan Mohan Rao Garu Erneni. May I now request our program director, Shri Subbarao Garu, to provide a brief introduction of these two gentlemen. Subbarao Garu.
Sure. As was said, each meeting is an endowment lecture in memory of somebody to celebrate their life and work. And this month, we remember Dr. Sivaramakrishna Madireddy and Mr. Jagan Mohan Rao. Dr. Sivaramakrishna was born in Madras, what now, of course, it is Chennai, and he passed out of Madras Medical College in the late 1930s and then went on to do his MRCP in London. What made him unique was his passion to serve, his patients with dedication. Then he, of course, later on moved to the US along with his wife and two daughters, where he pursued his FRCS and several other degrees. And then from 1970 onwards, he was there and he established an excellent career. But even there, he was well known for his help and assistance to the Indian community. So we remember Dr. Sivaramakrishna Madireddy fondly on this occasion. Mr. Jagan Mohan Rao Erneni, Somsekar, I think somebody is trying to seeking admission to the meeting. He worked initially, he's an engineer, and he worked initially in HAL, and later, after completing, he resigned and set up his own small-scale industry where he had some difficulties. And in the later part of his life, he set up a charitable trust called Vrishamani Foundation. This trust has a unique service motto. They pick up talented, meritorious students from government schools based on their 10th class marks. They bring them to their own hostel, provide everything free of cost. Their stay, medical care, clothing, education, they put them in the best of colleges, junior colleges. And several batches of those students have passed out, have become engineers, doctors, and whatnot. And he is supported largely in this endeavor by his son, Chakradhar. And this month, we also celebrate the good work that Jagan Mohan Rao is doing through his Vrishamani Foundation. Thank you, Sudhakar.
Thank you, Subbarao Garu. I keep interacting with a lot of younger people as part of my hobby as well as my association with some of the professional societies. Most of the times, I observe that these younger people have a dream or wish to join a big multinational company and rise to the highest level in that, particularly if they are of electronics or computer science background. Probably their parents also support this kind of idea. But there are some people who thinks that joining a multinational is not all about the career. They think differently. Today's our speaker is one such personality. He's a young graduate in electronics, although he started with his career in the IT field, but he did not pursue that, and he thought something he should do for a very common problem which we have been discussing just before the start of this meeting. And he also wanted to contribute for the Swachh Bharat mission. Today, let's hear from him what he has done with his out-of-box idea, so that it could be an inspiration for many more younger generations to think in that way, and more importantly, to participate in such kind of the missions. Now, may I call upon Mr. Jayant to give a brief introduction of Mr. Mayank Midha, who is today's speaker. Mr. Jayant.
Yes, please. I'm very happy to be here, and even more happy to introduce Mayank Midha. I don't know him, but I am completely impressed. I just put a few words before I introduce him, to say that our country has a very, very long history. And all of us would have studied about Harappa and places like that. And today we know that there are almost, I think, about 100 sites which have been discovered all along the Sindhu or Indus, and also along some river which has disappeared. And the defining, you can say, a point about this civilization is how they used to handle wastes. I mean, and then somewhere along the line, we lost it. It took even Mahatma Gandhi to talk about cleanliness in relation to godliness. But somehow it seems that in my personal history, you can say, we didn't follow it too much. I managed steel plants, and one of the biggest problems we always had is I didn't have to concentrate too much on the actual production, but I needed to concentrate a lot on how to handle wastes, all kinds. And why did it take such a long time for government to wake up and have something called the Swachh Bharat mission? I simply don't understand. We had it more than 5,000 years ago. And why did we regress? It's very sad. It doesn't matter, it's never too late. And therefore I'm happy, very happy that the Swachh Bharat mission government put it up to everyone. And even though I personally believe it's not followed in the right way in many places. Yes, but Mr. Mayank Midha is determined to do something else. Let me introduce him. Mayank Midha is CEO and co-founder.
Jayant, we are not able to hear you when you turn your head. Maybe we lost you completely there.
Sorry, I have to read this out. Yeah, don't mind. He's an electronics and communication engineering graduate and a postgraduate in rural management from the Institute of Rural Management, Anand. That's a very, very, very fine institution. Mayank grew up in entrepreneurial surroundings where his father and uncles all were first-generation entrepreneurs, charting their own paths into manufacturing metal products, plastic injection moldings, electrical and electronic products. Unfortunately, somewhere early when he was in graduation, he lost his father. And the extended family naturally faced a dilemma and proposed that he drop out of college and carry on with the manufacturing. His mother, who had been a science teacher, gave him the confidence to continue with his studies. It's very good of her. While pursuing his engineering degree, Mayank learned the tricks of the trade and took control of customer relationships and business development aspects, while his mother learned to successfully handle operations. Mayank went on to complete his engineering degree and was placed with TCS, where after 2 years into software development, he found himself to be losing focus. I mean, IRMA graduate going to TCS doesn't make too much sense, but he did it, and he probably got to know a lot more during that time about what he should and should not do. So I suppose that's a good thing. He realized he wanted to be a social entrepreneur who could build hardware products to benefit the masses. He got placed with a World Bank funded project into the education space, and after a few years decided to join the family business in 2011. It's a long time back. He tried to roll out agriculture implements, solar lanterns, but couldn't compete with existing players. It happens. In the year 2013-14, while he was working on a project for telecom companies to manufacture cabinets for telecom towers, he realized that these products very much resemble portable toilets. Over the years, he had also observed that while traveling, it's a real problem for female members, especially of any family, to find a safe and hygienic toilet. And sometimes they don't avoid going to any toilet at all, leading to health problems as well. It's an even bigger problem for people living in underserved areas. When he delved deeper into the issue with some of his friends, they found out there hasn't been any innovation around public toilets, and he decided to manufacture smart, automated, and indestructible public toilets. A great thing. This concept has now been awarded globally at multiple forums. They have been a winner of Santec Hackathon in 2023 in the Netherlands, winner of the Mohammed bin Rashid Initiative of Global Prosperity 2019 UAE, winner of the Unilever Young Entrepreneurs Award 2018 London, winner of SOCAP Scholarship 2016 in San Francisco. Mayank has been invited to the UN 3 times in the past 3 years, to academic institutions like the IIMs, TEDx, to talk about this solution with a larger audience. I hope we can all get together, listen to him, and help him further in his mission. The Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Venkaiah Naidu, also tweeted and congratulated Mayank for this initiative in 2019. It's a very, very good CV, I will say. Mayank, over to you.
Sudhakar, you may need to unmute yourself. Sudhakar.
Yeah, thank you, Jayant. Before I hand over the floor to Mayank, may I request the participants to type in their queries into the chat box so that can be taken at the end of Mayank's talk. Yes, Mayank, the floor is yours if you want.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Subbarao, Mr. Sudhakar, Mr. Jayant, and all the members of FOSWL for providing me this opportunity to address this August gathering. And it's really a humbling experience to be presenting to such honorable audience right now. And and thank you so much for the kind introduction as well. So what we intend to do here is basically to discuss about what all Swachh Bharat mission was able to deliver, and how, as the topic presents, that what are the innovations in the sanitation service delivery that have happened, and what were the challenges as well. So what we need to, what I intend to start off here is with to discuss that what all challenges are there on ground when it comes to the sanitation service delivery. We would also want to discuss the impact of not having access to sanitation facilities, and then delve deeper into understanding what Swachh Bharat mission was able to deliver, and also to understand what we have been able to provide as Garv Toilets, what all solutions we have been able to provide, also discuss about our journey, our product, and how we have been able to make a difference to this ecosystem as such. Post that, obviously, as we discussed, that we would also take up some questions if there are any clarifications required. Can I just share my screen with the presentation?
Yes, please do that. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope it is visible now.
Yes, you are visible.
Sure. Thank you. So just to start with, I would just request everyone to just close your eyes for a few seconds and imagine that you are in a marketplace and you want to use a public toilet really urgently. You want to relieve yourselves. Just close your eyes for 10 seconds and imagine what kind of public toilets are available, and you are, whatever are available, you are not able to find a safe, hygienic place to relieve yourselves. Just a few 5 to 10 seconds. Close your eyes and imagine that situation. Yes. So I believe obviously it would not have been a very pretty sight or a situation to be in. So I think, yeah, that is where we also need to understand that, availability of sanitation services or toilets or public toilets, or most of us who have been growing up in the urban environments, we take the availability of toilets as something which is taken for granted. Especially for the male members of the society. If we are out somewhere and we want to relieve ourselves, it is taken for granted that we would be able to find some place to relieve ourselves. But it's not the same for millions and millions of people out there globally who do not have access to public toilets or community toilets or even a toilet at their disposal every day of their life. So if we just need to check the gravity of the situation that we are currently in. So I just read out some of the data points, which are, very grave sort of data points, which also triggered us to sort of, get into this space. So even today, as we speak, about 2.4 billion people lack access to improved sanitation services. Out of that, about 1 billion still practice open defecation. And less than 10% of the people living in rural areas have access to clean and functional toilets. So these are the points that we are talking about at a global level. And we would certainly, go on to also check the India story as well. About 892 million people worldwide currently practice open defecation. 2/3 of the global population practicing open defecation lives in South Asia. And about 1 in 3 schools do not have adequate toilets. And the real problematic points that we faced while doing some research on this topic was the fact that over 750 children under the age of 5 die every day from diarrhea due to unsafe drinking water and poor sanitation and poor hygiene. So that was a real, problematic, grave data point that we observed. So key factors, what drive the need for improved sanitation services or public toilets, so to say. We believe right now what we've been able to see that about 5 countries, India, Indonesia, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Pakistan, account for 75% of the world's open defecation. And before the start of Swachh Bharat mission in 2014, India was called as the open defecation capital of the world. At that point of time, about 600 million people in India who are practicing open defecation. So there have been a few studies as well that, how much impact does it make, or in terms of the GDP percentage, if a country is not able to provide safe sanitation services to its citizens. And There have been proven studies that also provide evidence that every dollar spent on this sanitation service delivery has a return of about $5.50. It could be in the economic terms, it could be in the social terms, it could be in the health benefit terms as well. So today, as we speak, in spite of the fact that Swachh Bharat mission has been termed as a success, even today, about 5 million slum households in India are without toilets. And there have been various studies that come out with results which say that what is the real impact of not having sanitation services. There are diarrheal diseases, there are multiple bacterial diseases, parasites, cysts, and multiple diseases that spread because of unsafe sanitation practices. Moreover, there is a rapid urbanization that is taking place. If we just talk about India, about 20 in about 2030, we expect 600 million people to move to the urban centers, and that is going to put added pressure on the already inadequate public toilet or the community toilet infrastructure that exists right now. So the migration from the rural areas to the urban areas is going to put all the more pressure on the existing infrastructure that is there. And as we've already spoken, poor sanitation, it reduces the human well-being, it reduces the social and economic development of the communities. And so definitely these are the drivers that we need to keep in mind when we talk of providing improved sanitation services. And why public toilets have been always been a topic of concern is because of the fact that what we have seen over the years, although billions and billions of dollars have been spent in providing toilets, in providing improved infrastructure, throughout decades, there have been multiple programs by different names. It could be the Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan and now the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Billions and billions of dollars have been spent, but still we, when it comes to the public toilets or the community toilets, so to say, there has been no innovation that we basically found out. So the toilets were being constructed in the same manner and also being vandalized in the same manner. What we've also seen that when it comes to these kind of public toilet facilities or community toilet facilities, most of these facilities end up being filthy, unhygienic, or vandalized. There's, when someone talks about a public toilet, someone, all of us think that there's going to be stench or malodor when you're going to cross a public toilet. It's not going to be a pleasing sight. So all these are unsafe facilities just because of the fact that many of these facilities end up being vandalized. So there's no one to take care of these facilities. They end up being irregularly maintained because there's no accountability that has been set. Many times the government bodies, they roll out for construction, multiple tenders for construction of these toilets. The contractors construct these toilets and they move away. There's no one to take care of the operations and maintenance. Even if there are, accountability that has been set for the operations and maintenance, no one is there to monitor whether the toilets are being, maintained or not. So there's no accountability, there's no monitoring, and there's a huge dependence on the housekeeping activities. So if the toilet is being used by hundreds of thousands of people every day, there is going to be a huge dependence on how many people are to be employed for housekeeping, or how many times a housekeeping guy has to go in and check whether the toilets are clean or not. So when the toilets are not clean, when they are unhygienic, when they are not safe to use, obviously the people who would have to use those toilets would not like to use those toilets. If there's something which is unhygienic, no one would like to use it. So people prefer living in those areas. People would rather prefer an open defecation practice instead of using a dirty toilet, which and also having to pay for that dirty toilet to use that service. So no one likes to use that. And so, and what we've also observed, even in India, there's a high operational expenditure cost when it comes to maintaining a conventional public toilet or a community toilet. And that is because of the fact, like I mentioned, that toilets have been made in the same fashion, constructed in the same fashion. Similar technologies have been adopted, uh, brick and mortar structures or ceramic fittings. And due to that, there is a very high operational expenditure that the contractors have to face, but there is no sustainable revenue generating opportunity that they've been able to find when it comes to the business model of providing these services to the end users as such. So when it comes to the Swachh Bharat mission, like I mentioned, there have been multiple programs earlier also, billions and billions of dollars that have been spent over the years. Multiple governments have come in and they have had their set of programs spending again multiple billions of dollars and building the same kind of setups, building the same kind of facilities for providing it to the end users. But what happened, what used to happen before Swachh Bharat mission was, the only difference that we've seen was that there was no political will or no there was just for the terminology sake or for a program sake, a program was defined for providing improved sanitation services to the end users or to the citizens. But there was no real political will to promote this at a central government level or at the multiple state level as such. So what Swachh Bharat mission was able to deliver as a difference was that it was all about the campaign. It was all about the political will and monitoring how the services were being delivered, how the people were being educated about the benefits of having access to sanitation services. And the real difference was when it came from directly from the Prime Minister. The real difference was that there people started talking about sanitation services, and people started talking about toilets. So as a society, as Subbarao sir also mentioned, I had mentioned in my TEDx talk as well, that as a society, we find it we used to find it very disturbing to use a toilet as a word, even if, in our regular conversations, whether we are talking about human excreta or shit, or, if we are talking about, uh, using these services, we would not rather use the terms that, we are going to use a toilet. So we design very fancy words about it, the restrooms or the washrooms. So people, used to refrain from using the word toilet, even if we are. So what really happened was that there was a difference that came about uh, after the launch of Swachh Bharat mission. It was not a topic that was a taboo. It was not a topic that was not being discussed. But the difference was that every child in their schools was being educated, because that is the next generation that would come in, and also over the years would ask for clean toilet services or clean facilities. They would demand those services either from their families or from the governments that are there, or the government representatives that are also there. So it would become something that is necessary for everyone to have. Uh, so that was the real difference, what we observed as a active player in this space. And as a model of the Swachh Bharat mission, what it has been able to deliver, whatever data is available from the government or the other uh, sources, what we've been able to gather is that there were about 100 million uh, household toilets that the government able to deliver, and and then obviously about 0.6 million public and community toilets. About $15 billion have been spent so far. And as we speak, and as I mentioned in one of the earlier slides also, there are still a lot of households that lack access to these facilities, or even if the families have access to the toilets, they do not like to use these toilet facilities for various reasons. For it could be the mindset, it could be the education, or so we still see that about 22% of the rural households still practice open defecation. So now what government has been able to move on to as a part of the Swachh Bharat mission is basically that they say that although we have been able to deliver toilets, we have been able to construct multiple toilets. The focus has now moved on to FSM, that is the fecal sludge management, and also the ODF plus plus phase of the Swachh Bharat mission, which is open defecation free plus plus initiative, wherein they are saying that the fecal sludge that is being generated out of these toilets has to be safely managed, and it also has to cater to the fact that when these toilets are constructed, how they are being managed, how they are being monitored, and how they are being maintained. What all basic facilities should be there inside a toilet when it is constructed. It should have adequate facilities for the disabled. It could have the adequate facilities for the regular users as well. Adequate facilities for the female members of our society as well. It should have, the mirrors. It should have a good aroma inside the toilet as well. It should not be stinking. So the government has now moved on to those aspects, covering those aspects, whether when it comes to a Swachh Bharat survection of different cities, the government has now moved on to check and also award the cities or the municipal corporations, depending on how the cities are performing on these parameters now. So as we speak, there have been multiple reports that have come out through multiple agencies globally that say that the sanitation economy, so to say, which includes the delivery of sanitation services, which includes the business of being involved in the business of sanitation. Currently, that sanitation economy is worth about $90 billion in India, and in India alone. So obviously, globally, it's a much larger number. And India, with the current success of Swachh Bharat mission, it is estimated that there has been a reduction of about damage costs of about $64 billion, which is about 2.7% of the GDP as of today. So let's go on to discuss what we wanted to do in this space. Like it was mentioned in the introduction, also was that we started this initiative back in 2014, 2015, wherein we observed that public toilets and community toilets, they were not in a very good position as such, and there was no innovation that took place over the last so many years when it came to public toilets and community toilets. And that is where we wanted to come in, and we wanted to deliver a toilet which was portable, which could also be manufactured out of a factory at scale, and it was easy to install. So what we also wanted to achieve was that this toilet, when it goes out in the areas that we wanted to operate in, which are densely populated, wherein a lot of people do not had access to toilets before, they are going to use these toilets. So these toilets had to be durable enough, and that is where we wanted to come in. And when we started, our only focus was towards building a new product. But over the years, over the last 8.5 years or so that we have been into this space, we have also been able to observe and build on our mission and vision, which is currently we believe that we are on a mission to serve about 5 million users every day through state-of-the-art, well-maintained toilet infrastructure. And our vision definitely is to provide a rich user experience to the low-income urban communities through tech-enabled smart sanitation services. So most of you would also wonder that what technology has to do with when it comes to toilets. So I would go on to explain that as well. But like one of my mentors used to say that we have been able to bring IT into SHIT. So that is how we like to term it. So let's just see what exactly is a smart toilet. So smart toilet, when it comes to Garv Toilets, our real initiative was that we want to deliver an indestructible and easy to maintain alternative to manually operated public toilet model. So here, as you see, there is one of the pictures of one of the installations that we had done, and we would also go on to see multiple of the models that we've been able to install. So just to share the key features of our model, just to provide you details on how we were able to deliver this product. As I mentioned, we wanted to be in this space to provide an indestructible alternative. And what we did was that we manufactured this toilet out of prefabricated steel. So my prior experience had been into manufacturing, had been into electronics. So when we look at the hindsight, we were able to join the dots that how this product came into being. So we manufactured this product as a prefabricated modular toilet, which is made out of steel. And why we chose this material, steel, basically was the fact that we wanted this toilet to be indestructible, to be highly durable, and to also provide a higher shelf life when it comes to the, providing these public toilet models to the communities. Obviously, it was going to be a challenge that when it comes to steel, it is going to be expensive. But nevertheless, what we did was that we built this toilet model, manufactured it. So every nut and bolt, every fitting that went into inside building this toilet was made out of steel. And that was only for the reasons that, like I mentioned, that it had to be sturdy, it had to be vandal proof. And what we also did was that we insulated this toilet cubicle with recycled plastic. So when it comes to providing these facilities in extreme climate conditions, so these toilets are already insulated, and so it doesn't affect the ambient temperature inside a toilet as such, and doesn't, so the user would not feel uncomfortable while using this toilet. What we also did was that we integrated this toilet with a lot of sensors. And the next step we wanted to bring in with the innovation aspect was that we wanted to automate this toilet. Why automate? Because what we believed that there was a lot of public toilets that were not being maintained. And so, as I mentioned, there was a dependence on the housekeeping staff. So we wanted to minimize that. So when it came to automation, what we wanted to do was that we wanted to make this toilet a self-flushing and a self-cleaning toilet. So we used a lot of sensors, integrated it into the toilet infrastructure. So the toilet would be self-flushing and self-cleaning. Self-flushing, whenever the user has to come in and use the toilet would flush itself pre-usage and post-usage. And also, we were able to program this toilet in a way that the toilet would clean itself. The floor, it would also clean itself with high pressure water after every 5 uses or 10 uses. And post that, what we've also been able to do is able to detect the malodor percentage inside this toilet cubicle. So if there is malodor that is detected inside the toilet would then also be able to clean itself. What we also wanted to deliver with this toilet was that that we wanted to make it very much self-sustainable. Self-sustainable in terms of energy requirements, self-sustainable in terms of the waste recycling as well. So what we did was that we integrated it with solar power. We integrated this toilet with decentralized waste management systems, which are biodigesters, or the waste management systems where the fecal sludge is converted into fertilizer on the site itself. Because what we observed was that the major areas that we were operating, these areas never had sewage lines. So, 95% of these areas never had sewage lines. So if we had to put up these toilets, there was going to be a focus on how the fecal sludge is being managed. So we have been able to integrate and provide these toilets with decentralized waste management, and also convert it into, fertilizer, which would be utilized further for providing green spaces around these toilets. So right now we have not been able to get to a point where the volume of this treated fertilizer is so much that we are able to sell it in the open market. So that opportunity also exists, but right now we have not been able to reach to that point. Moving on, I hope it's not getting too much technical. If there's any questions midway, please do ping.
No, I think it's good, and I think you should continue. We'll have the
Sure.
questions at the end, as the meeting host
Right.
said.
Yeah. So what we also wanted to do was that when it comes to the monitoring of a toilet, what we did was that we made this toilet IoT enabled. What is IoT? IoT is the Internet of Things. So we were able to integrate this toilet with sensors and also communicate. So the toilet was able to communicate with our teams. Wherever we are installing the toilet, we were able to check uh, at any given particular site how the toilets are functioning, or how many people have been using these toilets. So I would go on to explain this a little more. What we also did with this initiative was that like we see here in this picture, all the toilets are also fixed with a QR code. So people can come in and scan that QR code, and also provide a real-time feedback, wherein we are able to see that what feedbacks are coming in from the users. So they are able to provide us feedback, or how was the toilet facility, what they find and what they found to be useful, what they didn't find to be correct. So how this feedback helps us is basically our teams are on the ground, are able to track it in real time and check what the real problems are there with the toilet facilities. Moreover, we've been able to design multiple models which are inclusive for women, providing menstrual hygiene management facilities. It could be the sanitary pad vending machine, like you see here in one of the pictures, and also the disposal machines for disposing the sanitary pads safely inside the toilet. Uh, we have been able to deliver toilets for the specially abled. We've also been able to deliver toilets for the transgender communities in these years of our operations. So just to explain a little bit more on the USP of the Garv toilets, like we like to call it, is the smart dashboard. This is the technology aspect where the Internet of Things comes into play. Like we see here in the picture, we are able to visualize the toilets that we provide on our dashboard. Like sitting here in my office, I would be able to track what all toilets are functional, at any given particular site in New Delhi. We would be able to track how many people have come in to use the toilet on this particular day. So we are also able to generate reports every day, weekly reports or monthly reports. So whatever time period we want, we're able to generate reports, how the toilets were used, what was the uptime of the toilets, what were the issues that came about for the toilets not being functional. So what it provides us is with a bird's eye view of how the toilets were being used, how many people had come in, what was the hygiene behavior of the users. So on a very aggregated level, we are able to track that how many users were using the hand wash stations, how many users, when they came in, they found the toilet dirty, how many users were using the soap, or what is the percentage of users, male users or female users. So also being able to divide them on a gender basis, we are able to generate reports in this fashion. And the second aspect is we are able to track the functionality, the health of the toilets, where we are able to see how the toilets are functioning, what are the real problems that they faced, and the teams on the ground, they are able to track what all spares were required in the toilets, and they are able to fix those issues in a short period of time with the availability of this data. So what we were able to do is to provide a quick turnaround service time for the toilets to be made functional and available to the end users every day. So a lot of people also ask us why the brand name Garv. So we like I mentioned earlier, if we close our eyes and imagine we are out there in a market and we wanted to use a toilet, but it becomes a real issue for the women members of our families, or women members of our society, when they they want to relieve themselves and they do not find a safe place. So it also develops into a health condition, a UTI infection, if they use an unsafe uh, place to relieve themselves. So we wanted to associate this brand with pride and dignity, and that is what we stand for. We wanted to associate this term Garv with with a title of toilets, Garv Toilets, and we stand for pride, dignity for everyone, every day, literally. So that is what we wanted to deliver, and that is why intentionally the brand name has been named as Garv Toilets. So here we can see the various models that we have been able to deliver. Uh, it's made out of stainless steel. It's also made out of galvanized steel. You can see the interiors here. Every toilet that we have is, the male toilet would also have a urinal. Every toilet would also have a hand wash basin inside, and at the at the here you see the blue toilets. The blue toilets have been provided in multiple schools for the school sanitation projects. We at the top here you see a hall where a lot of steel prefab toilets have been provided. So this was a retrofitting project that we did for one of the government bodies. So they had these toilet blocks which were lying dysfunctional. So they wanted to get our technology in place, and we retrofitted our smart toilet technology in their already existing toilet blocks. So what we have been able to deliver is, a long-standing infrastructure that would be there for the next 15 years, that would not be vandalized. So there would not be a lot of operational expenditures that would come in, and it would be able to provide a clean and hygienic environment for the users who are coming in to use those facilities in the government department. We have been able to work with a lot of municipal bodies, a lot of smart cities, a lot of corporates. We've been able to work. I would also, get to explain that a little further. So this one on the right side, you see this model. We've been able to provide this model in various municipalities in Hyderabad as well, where this model basically provides basically solves two purposes. One, providing a retail kiosk for the entrepreneurs, for the street vendors, for the SHG members who want to earn their livelihoods. So it provides a retail kiosk at the front, and there are two toilets at the back. So it becomes a responsibility of the micro entrepreneur who is managing this retail kiosk, that they would be able to take care of the daily supervision of the toilets that are being installed. They would also be able to generate revenue through providing advertising spaces on these toilets, and if allowed, they would also be able to charge the users for using that toilet as well. So we've been able to mix and match various models and provide various types of models to our customers. So over the last 8.5 years, we've been able to deliver about more than 2,000 toilets at multiple locations. We've done largely, we are present in India across 12 states, and we've been also been able to deliver projects in other countries like Bhutan, in Ghana, and recently in Turkey. Um, we the toilet services and the other services that we provide are being used by about 200,000 people every day. And about 30 to 40,000 kids also use our services with the school sanitation projects that we've been able to deliver. And we are a total team of about 37 and keeps on increasing and decreasing depending on the type of projects that we get. With the data that is available to us, we've been able to track it in real time, that what is the amount of water that we are able to recycle with the grey water recycling systems that are available. So grey water recycling systems are basically where the toilets, the water from hand washing and the water from floor cleaning is being utilized to flush. So it's being recycled one time for flushing. So we've been able to save about 60,000 liters of water every day, and also save about 850 kgs of CO2 emissions. With the, not all our toilets are solar powered. With, wherever there is grid supply, we are able to power it with the grid. And wherever the government or the customer wants us to provide a solar power, we are able to provide the solar power toilets as well. So approximately about 20 tons of fertilizer that is being generated every day, like I mentioned about decentralized waste management services. And definitely there is a potential to generate huge amount of, gas and convert it into biogas or convert it into electricity going forward. So there's a huge potential that exists if we go on to build the number of toilets in just a few geographies, as I mentioned before. We can also see a few product variants that we have. So there are specific toilets for schools. There are specific toilets for women. We call it the toilets for her, and where all the facilities for menstrual hygiene management are provided. And there have been few toilets which have been manufactured specifically keeping in mind the corporate social responsibility projects, where sometimes there are budget constraints. So we have manufactured this Garv toilet, which is the outer structure is made out of galvanized steel instead of stainless steel, so that to save on a few costs. But the internal structures again remain being manufactured in stainless steel. And obviously the premium model is something which is totally made out of stainless steel, provides a higher shelf life compared with all the different models that we have. So what we've also gone on to do is basically now how we are scaling up is to provide a one-stop solution for all the water, sanitation, and hygiene needs of the urban communities. What we've been able to deliver is a smart sanitation center, where it is not just the public toilets that we are delivering. We are providing multiple services, which includes shower facilities, bathing facilities, a water ATM where people can basically access, get clean drinking water. We work on this model in partnership with various government bodies. Like the picture that we see here is a hybrid model, where this space was being provided by the Delhi Metro, and we've worked with them in partnership and delivered our toilets inside the center, and all the facilities that are mentioned here, be it the water ATM or the bathing facility or the smart toilets, are being provided through this center, and it's a one-stop shop. So people can come in, use these services, pay for the services, and also get various hygiene products out of a retail kiosk that exists at the center. So how do we get to generate revenue is basically we charge the users for using the services. We also provide outdoor advertising services, like we can see an advertising board here. So we charge the product companies who want to advertise. We charge them on a monthly basis, so we get to generate our revenues from advertising. And through the sales of various products from the retail kiosk, with the micro entrepreneurs, we are able to share the revenues with them as well. So it is a very self-sustainable model, where we are able to provide this smart sanitation center service to the end users, and also to generate revenue to sustain the center and manage the operations and maintenance costs for the center, and also to generate some profits out of it. So definitely it's not a not for profit initiative, it is a for profit initiative to keep it a sustainable social business model. Over the years, let's look at just a snapshot of our journey. We started in the year 2014, and somehow it also matched with the Swachh Bharat Mission initiative. You can say the timing was correct, but it was a real difficult situation for us for the first 2.5 to 3 years to sort of convince a lot of government decision makers in the government bodies and all the other stakeholders as well, to convince them that this kind of a model could also work in India. So many times we were shooed away. We were told that this kind of a model would not work in India. So for like I said, the first 2.5 to 3 years were a real struggle from 2014 to 17. We were not in a commercially viable situation. There was a situation that we were thinking that we should move on. We should close this initiative and move on to do something else. But what kept us going was that we kept on participating in a lot of competitions or the accelerator programs that were being announced as a part of the Swachh Bharat Mission initiative and also as a part of the Startup India program. And so right from 2016, the initiative and the product was being acknowledged at multiple forums, as an innovative concept that was being introduced in India. So we won quite a bit of these contests, the acceleration programs, like winning the Sanitation Innovation Accelerator in India in 2016, also being awarded a SOCAP scholarship. It's called the Social Capital Initiative. It happens every year in California, San Francisco, and we won that scholarship in 2016. We were also called there to attend the conference. Post that, after the struggle of first 2.5, 3 years, the initiative started rolling. The product was being acknowledged by the CSRs and the NGOs, because we were able to deliver a few pilots on ground, and that was being acknowledged by the NGOs and the CSRs. So in 2017, we did some projects with CSRs and NGOs, and as luck would have it, we also got an opportunity to work in Ghana. So the government of Netherlands has a program to sponsor water sanitation projects in 7 African countries. We got this funding opportunity from the government of Netherlands, where we got this opportunity to pilot our product in slums of Ghana as well. And we worked with a lot of CSRs, like I mentioned. 2018 was a real turnaround period for us, where we were selected as the part of the Toilet Board Coalition's cohort. Toilet Board Coalition is a Switzerland-based initiative where they promote sanitation entrepreneurs, promote sanitation initiatives, and we were selected as 5 sanitation enterprises amongst the 5 sanitation enterprises globally to be supported by the Toilet Board Coalition. And we also won the Unilever Young Entrepreneurs Award in the UK in the same year. And 2018, we were also selected for the seed investment from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. And we raised our first seed investment, and that remains our only investment till date in terms of equity. 2019, we were also selected as a Government of Turkey's program, SDG Impact Accelerator program. As a part of that program, we were also selected globally, or the top 4 initiatives globally, and we were given a chance to pilot the initiative for Syrian refugee camps in Turkey. We won the Mohammed bin Rashid Initiative Award as a out of the 1,200 global solutions that were presented in UAE, and that is where our Honorable Vice President also tweeted and congratulated us for the initiative. And we've been, like it has been mentioned, we've been called to the UN in different conferences in the past 3 to 4 years. We've also worked with the government of Telangana. We've worked with various districts Hyderabad being one. Um, we've also worked, like I mentioned, with multiple smart cities in the past 2-3 years. We've worked with Delhi Metro, and we've been able to install more than 2,000 toilets till date. So obviously, the initiative has been awarded globally. It has been appreciated. This is what helps us keep going. Obviously there are challenges for every business when it is out there working with multiple stakeholders, and especially working with the government bodies is another level of challenge at multiple levels. So this is what I would like to mention here is that these are the awards and the acknowledgements that they keep us going, that the initiative is being acknowledged and awarded, and it is being at least being appreciated by the stakeholders, the users, the end users who are there. They appreciate what service we have been able to provide. So just would like to mention about our team. Without them, it would not have been possible, obviously. The initiative was started by a few of our friends, me and some of my friends from the engineering days. My wife has been the supporter, Megha. She has been supporter and the main investor in this. While we were struggling, she was not drawing any salaries, and the main investment in this initiative comes from her. We as a team have over 18 years of average experience in this initiative, and a team of engineers, team of management graduates, team of people who have been working with the government, and people who have been working in the law practices as well, taking care of the patents and copyrights as well. So it has been a team effort that we've been able to reach this far. So what we intend to do going forward, like I mentioned, the initiative of the smart sanitation centers, what we intend to do going forward is expand our model with this smart sanitation model across national and state highways. Even if it is not in partnership with the government bodies, we would like to lease out private land and roll out this model to scale our initiative across the national and the state highways, wherein people traveling on those highways will be able to use our services on a regular basis. As this happens, what we intend to do in the next 2 years is basically build a waste recycling facility that collects and produces this organic fertilizer. And what we've been able to do also to develop paver bricks, the interlock bricks which are installed on the footpaths, utilizing this recycled waste as well. Just to close the loop on the circular economy, we've been able to deliver that. We want to do it at scale. So that this would only be possible if we are able to scale up at a particular level. And by 2025, we believe that we would be able to grow about 5x, having 10,000 odd installations. And beyond that, we would like to get into the rental toilet segment model, and also introduce the waterless smart toilets going forward. As we speak, we've been able to impact on the sustainable development goals, specifically towards SDG 6, which is clean water and sanitation. We also work towards the gender equality, providing MHM services and gender inclusive toilets, and promoting good health and well-being, which is SDG 3, for the communities and for the end users that we work with. And the other 3 SDGs that have been mentioned, 11, 12, and 17, are obviously the indirect SDGs that we are able to impact. Like I mentioned, we've been able to work with multiple government bodies, multiple corporates, PSUs, with their CSR funds or the government funds that are available. With the corporates, we've been able to work with the corporate social responsibility initiatives, like a few smart cities. You can see various names, the government bodies, municipal bodies, oil marketing companies, banks, HDFC, SBI, ICICI, corporates like GE and corporates like Kimberly-Clark or Siemens are our customers who keep on working with us for the past so many years. And we've, like I mentioned, we've also worked with a lot of UN bodies as well as a part of their initiatives for the past few years. I think that will be all. Thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Mayank, for your wonderful presentation. And it's really a great innovation, applying the latest technology for a very simple, common problem. That's where your innovation is very highly appreciated. Let's initiate some discussion on what the points which you have told to us.
Would
First,
you like
let
to,
me ask,
Sudhakar, would you like to have Mayank unshare his screen?
yeah, that will be better.
Do you want me to share it again? Is it?
No.
Unshare
Unshare it.
Yeah,
Stop
I
sharing.
have
Stop
done
sharing.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
I think it has not yet.
It's
happened.
gone now.
Okay. It's happened. Mayank, I just wanted to start the discussion with one basic question. You made the toilet very smart. That's the best part of it. You have the sensors which will take care of probably most of the operational issues and ensure the hygiene part of it. But when you add the technology, one of the difficulties we find with the technology is the sustainability of the technology and the maintenance of the technology. I'm sure the operational costs may definitely come down, but because of the technology, will the maintenance costs go up?
Right, sir. Great question, and thank you so much. So basically, what we provide here is because we wanted to come in with these technological aspects because that we wanted to reduce the operational expenditure costs, and that includes the maintenance costs. And what we've been able to deliver is that if we compare it the conventional toilets, the operation and maintenance cost has come down by about 1/8 when it compares to the cost of the conventional toilet. And that is because of the fact that, over the years, we have been able to evolve the manufacturing. We've been able to evolve the production of this toilet in a way where we have been able to identify the vulnerable points which could be, vandalized in the long term by the users. So what we've been able to do is to, conceal those areas in a way, design the toilet in a way that all these sensors or all these electronics are not at all visible to the end user in a way. We understand that an end user, any bad user, any day can basically make a good toilet a dysfunctional toilet, and that is where we've been able to work and conceal those areas which were really vulnerable as such. And when it comes to the maintenance of electronics, what we've been able to deliver as a business model is basically the fact that when we sign up for any project, we take up the maintenance contracts for long term, which is at least 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. So we've been able to take up those contracts, and we take care of the maintenance aspects wherever we are installing a toilets. So there has to be a minimum order for that, at least 20 or 25 installations in a particular city. Only then we are able to deliver the bundled product with the maintenance, maintenance aspect covered into it.
Great. Then I have a doubt on your revenue generation model. Can you throw more light on the aspects of the revenue generation for the smart toilets which you have been making?
Yes. So like I mentioned, the one source of revenue is the pay and use services, where the people can pay and use the services. Another model is a subscription, where if there is a particular set of community that we are working with, they can subscribe to our services on a monthly subscription basis, and the family can come in to use the services that are being provided at a monthly subscription cost. That is one. And second, like I mentioned, is the outdoor advertising. We source out a lot of outdoor advertising spaces to the companies who are interested in advertising in those particular areas. So that also forms a set of revenue. Third, being the retail kiosks. So we sell a lot of products with partnering with the micro entrepreneurs. And then there is a revenue sharing model with the micro entrepreneurs by selling those products to the end users.
Great. One of our participant, Mr. Jayant, wants to know, while all these smartness and technology works very well, what is your take on when you try to implement this in rural areas? One is the infrastructure and technological related issues. The second thing is probably the rural people may not be so technologically savvy. They may not understand what QR code is and what the smartness is. How do you handle that situation?
That's very true. So I think 95% of our installations are in urban and peri-urban areas, where these initiatives are being understood by the end users and also by the stakeholders. But rural areas or the areas where people are not able to understand, we provide toilet facilities which are without the smart technology, which are obviously made out of steel, but doesn't have a lot of sensors into it. And is not integrated with the smart technology. So we provide those toilet models for the rural areas.
Yeah, another related question is our Secretary Subhash Chandra Bose wants to know, what is the typical cost of the installation of your smart toilet?
So when it comes to a basic toilet model, which doesn't have any smart features as such, so our models start at a price range of about 1.4 lakhs for a toilet unit, and a completely automated smart toilet, which is a stainless steel structure, would cost around 3.9 to 4 lakhs for a toilet unit. So which is still about 1/3 of what any other competitor would offer in this market right now.
Okay. Did you install these toilets in any public places like community parks or the bus stations, or do you have the plans to do so?
Yeah, we've done a lot of installations, public parks in market areas, in across railway stations, metro stations, or bus stations. We've done those kind of installations. Yes.
Mayank, one of the problem which we normally encounter in public toilets is the sustainability of the supporting infrastructure. While the toilet is good and usable condition, the basic needs like water may not be available. So how do you handle that situation? Does your smart IoT based things will also sense the availability of the basic water and other facilities? And if it is not there, does it also give an alert so that you can attend to that?
Yes, it does. So water definitely is one of the main requirements when it comes to installation of these toilets. So if the water availability is not there, we get alarms on our system. And what happens is that the toilet is able to lock itself. So if the water is unavailable, the user would not be able to use that toilet till that time.
Okay. So you are making it non-available in case the water is not available. That's a good way of maintaining it and operating it in a good condition.
So essentially, there are alarms when the water level is going low. There would be alarms to, basically alert the operational staff that particular toilet would run out of water in this particular time. So there are alarms that are triggered, and when it is totally out of water, the toilet is locked.
Yet another public place we normally talk about the toilets is the petrol stations. Have you installed your toilets in any of these petrol bunks, or do you have the plans to install your toilets? Today we find that this toilet is a mandatory facility at the petrol bunks, but their maintenance and operation is pathetically bad. So that could be a good opportunity. What is your take on that?
So like I mentioned, we've done installations with Indian Oil Corporation. We've done installations with HPCL. In Delhi NCR, we have done installations with Indraprasth Gas Limited at their CNG stations. But the fact, what we've been able to identify is that, in spite of the fact that there have been good reviews of these toilet installations, this has not scaled up with the oil marketing companies or the gas marketing companies. And what they are basically looking at is, if we can, because as a part of the Swachh Bharat mission, it was mandated to have clean toilets, or even to have toilets. We cannot surely say whether they are clean or hygienic. What they are intending to have is basically, they say that, the toilets are available. Why don't you retrofit your technology into these toilets? So we are working on that aspect right now, where the features of our smart toilets could be retrofitted in those already existing toilets, which is a tedious exercise, because not all those toilets which are there on those petrol bunks are standardized. Every toilet would have a different size. So that's not standardized.
Yeah.
So it's an expensive process. So we are trying to work towards that right now.
Oh, great. Then one of our participants, Prasad, flags more of a social issue. When you have this kind of the smart toilets, the users should also be somewhat concerned and disciplined. Most of the times we find that that kind of the social consciousness or discipline may be lacking with the users. Some of the examples which he tries to find out, tell us is that the facilities, even in the brand newly started trains like Vande Bharat, these facilities are not up to the mark sometimes. So what can you do to address this issue?
So we've been able to, we've been working with our customers, with our, people like the various NGOs that we work with in CSR projects, to make efforts towards educating the users. But obviously, it's a mindset-based issue. It's a generational change that would come into play when this generation is educated throughout their life, how to safely use these services. It's an issue which is prevalent even in the developed countries, like we were discussing. The public toilets would also be not properly maintained even in the US, or even in Europe.
Yeah.
In some of those areas as well. We would find some of the times that the toilets are not in proper position. So it's a matter of fact that we keep on delivering our efforts from our side, working with our partners. What we want also been able to do, since these toilets are automated, what we've been able to do is to provide a voice guidance system. In some of the toilets, we also provide screens where educational messages are being spread to the users on how to safely use these toilets, and how basically how to leave these toilets when you've used a toilet, how to leave these toilets in a usable condition. So that is what, although there is automation, although there is a self-cleaning process, but still sometimes it happens that the users are not using it properly. So we run a lot of educational content through those audio visuals or through those voice guidance systems that we install in our toilets.
Good. Moving on to the similar topic on the operational and maintenance part of these toilets which you provide. Do you also provide the manpower for the maintenance of these smart sanitation centers? Or you do only the initial hand holding as part of the contract, or subsequently you hand it over to the respective organization to take care of these aspects?
So no, currently, like I mentioned, these smart sanitation centers, we do employ our staff who would take care of these centers. What we intend to do going forward is to basically, when we work with micro entrepreneurs, or if we want to hand over these smart sanitation toilets to the franchisees, like we would like to do in the times to come. When it comes to franchisees, the operations and the maintenance, we will be tracking those operations and maintenance. We would be tracking how the toilets are being maintained. But the real day in and day out sort of maintenance aspects would be taken care of either by the micro entrepreneurs or by the franchisee owners who are going to generate revenues out of those facilities. So currently we do employ our staff, but as I mentioned, we have reduced the dependence on the housekeeping staff as such. So like in a conventional public toilet, if they're going to employ 4 housekeeping staff, we have got it reduced to 1. It is only a regular supervision that is required, not a regular cleaning process that's required, basically.
Great. You also mentioned about your engagement with NGOs. Can you elaborate some more details on your engagement with the NGOs, and how does an NGO will get in touch with you and start interacting on your smart toilets?
So what we've seen is that, a lot of NGOs have their focus towards water and sanitation programs, the WASH initiative, as they call it, water, sanitation, and hygiene. So a lot of NGOs work with corporates as part of the CSR programs or their own initiatives as well, where they want to deliver services to the end beneficiaries of their programs. And that is where, they've come in. They were the first supporters of this product when we started rolling out. So we worked with reputed NGOs like the Aga Khan Network or the United Way, or even the foundations, the Coca-Cola foundations, and other NGOs in the sector. We've worked with them, and if whenever they wanted to deliver assets to the end users, they've reached out to us.
Great. Mayank, how do you benchmark your smart toilet with possibly the best available in other developed countries?
No, I think, yeah, we are definitely setting a benchmark when it comes to providing public toilet service delivery. We are raising up the bar. Most of the times, if it is a business model that is to be compared to, we are mostly compared with Sulabh International, the Sulabh toilets, but obviously in terms of business model, it's the same, but the product and the service delivery is far way better. We've got more than 92% positive feedback from our end users, and in the service delivery that we have been able to provide.
But the Sulabh model was slightly different from your model, and they are able to scale it up very rapidly. Maybe the kind of the technologies which you have incorporated are not there that could be one of the factors.
So yes, I mean, I would like to mention that Sulabh, it's a total. We've researched very much on the model, and what we've also understood is that, you know, in the past 35-40 years of their operations, Sulabh today has about 40,000 odd toilets, and their cash revenues, all revenues are cash revenues. So they I mean, whatever sources are available on the internet or in the public, they generate about 3,500 crores of annual revenue through these toilets. But when you end up, you know, going to use a Sulabh public toilet, I or some of us would not like to use that service, because, you know, when I also interact with a lot of IAS officers, a lot of government officers, most of them are really fed up of the services that are being provided through Sulabh. Some of the toilets, I would say about 5-10% of the toilets that are being serviced by Sulabh are good to use, but most of these are not available, not you know, provided as a safe, hygienic place to be used by the general public as such. So that is where, you know, we are coming in with a different service delivery model, where the product is different and the service delivery is different. But although the business model remains the same, yes, so that is what the difference is.
Are there anybody else in the country who are doing something very similar to what you are doing? Are there really any competitors for you in this smart toilet market?
So when it comes to the smart toilet, there are competitors who are available. Two of the competitors are in Kerala. When it comes to the product competition, people have come in developing these products, but we proudly say that we are the only manufacturers of smart toilets in India. Some of the other players have come in, they are assembling those products, and as a matter of fact, the price that they are able to sell these toilets to the customers is about 3x or 4x of what we are able to sell it at. So, so that is one of the differences that are there in terms of the product availability and the product competition.
So you are really make in India product.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I think we have an interesting discussion we had, and may I now request Subbarao Garu to say a few words before we formally close this discussion.
Well, like everybody said, I think it's been a great learning experience, I would say. You know, given the title of the topic, and Mayank and I debated a little, I think 3 of us, on what the title should be. But here's like the name of his firm epitomizes, the whole presentation and his talk, you know, dignified not just the topic, but also the importance of good sanitation on various aspects of our country's economy, health of the people, education of children, security of women. You know, so many points were touched, and clearly his passion and commitment comes through. So wish him more force and more success. And I think he should encourage 2 or 3 of his good classmates and friends to start competing brands, because what I've noticed is if you go down a street, if there is one pharmacy doing well, when 2 or 3 other pharmacies come, everybody benefits. I believe it is based, I recently learned it is based on a mathematical modeling actually. And you may want to Google it and see it, Mayank, that there is actually a mathematical model which drives this. I wasn't aware of it. So personally, I've enjoyed it a lot, and especially because we worked in this space, you know, through another NGO called Freemasons. We tried to adopt, I think, if I remember correctly, about 10 or 15 government schools in Hyderabad. We had a very tough time, very, very tough time, you know. reluctance of the school administration, the state education department, dilapidated existing structures, retrofitting issues, lack of water, lack of power, the stench. So clearly, we could not develop a sustainable model. So if you come up with a unique model which is tailor-made to schools at a more affordable, because schools do not have this kind of money, but we have to marry it with some oil marketing companies or, corporates who install in various schools kind of thing. That will be of great interest to, Surendranath's question I knew was, he's a very active and senior Lions Club member. So I'm sure other organizations also will come forward, and like Sudhakar as the former chairman, ECL has a lot of CSR funds. So this may be something of interest to a lot of organizations. So thank you so much for spending the evening.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. And, like you mentioned that for the schools, we've really done most of our, like I would say, large part of our installations in schools as a part of multiple CSR initiatives through various corporates and NGOs. It remains as one of our focus areas, and we are working on developing. Obviously, it's a function of scale. When it comes to the costs. So if the scale or the volume, the numbers go up, the costs will come down, and the prices would come down. So we are working on that aspect as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayank. It's a very interesting and absorbing talk, as well as the subsequent discussions. In fact, we have slightly exceeded the normal scheduled time of our meetings, and that shows volumes about the interest your topic has generated. Thank you very much. Now, may I call upon our Secretary, Shri Subhash Chandra Bose Garu, to give the formal vote of thanks. Subhash Garu.
Thank you, Sudhakar Garu. President of FOSWL Hyderabad, Sri Venkateswara Garu. Distinguished Speaker, Mr. Mayank Midha, FOSWLians and invitees. We pay homage to two founder members we lost in the last few weeks. Our founder Vice President, Sri Rambabu Moturi, and reputed advocate Sri Subbarao Madhireddy of Kakinada, brother of our founder Sri M.L. Swami. FOSWL Hyderabad records its deep sense of loss and conveys condolences to their families. Their support and guidance to FOSWL Hyderabad will always be remembered with gratitude. Thank you all for joining our 172nd monthly meeting. We thank the family members of late Madhireddy Sivaramakrishna Rao and Sri Jagan Mohan Rao Yadneni for sponsoring the endowment lecture in the month of April every year. We also thank Mrs. Suryaprabha Bandakavi for the logistics sponsorship for the month of April every year in the name of her husband, late Professor Subbarao Bandakavi. Thank you, Vijay, for rendering the prayer. Thank you, Mr. Jayant Sataye, for joining us from Pune and introducing the distinguished speaker. In recent years, we have been reading and hearing a lot about the Swachh Bharat mission. Many dispute the statistics published by the government, be it the number of toilets built in the country or the number of cities, towns, and villages that have improved their general sanitation. Amidst this noise, we often miss the larger impact of sanitation on our economy, on the health of our citizens, on improved attendance at schools, and a host of other benefits. Mr. Mayank has today given us a more comprehensive understanding of the impact of Swachh mission and more importantly, how he and startups like Garv Toilets are finding innovative solutions to improve sanitation at the grassroots level. Thank you for joining us this evening, Mr. Mayank. We wish your endeavor every success. We invited all our members to email us their views on resuming physical meetings to the FOSWL email address. We have not received any suggestions or comments as of now. Therefore, we now propose to continue with the Zoom meetings every month. Our forthcoming meetings and eminent speakers are on 20th May 2023, Mr. Anirudh Chauji, founder of Pugmarks and currently advisor to the Department of Forests, Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, will speak on birds of a feather flock together and tell us about the fascinating Indian birds. On 17th June 2023, Mr. Anil Cherian, Executive Vice President and CTO, Strategy and Technology, Cognizant USA, will speak on artificial intelligence and discuss how life will change in the coming years. For the meeting on 15th July 2023, we are in the process of firming up the distinguished speaker and are awaiting his confirmation. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, till we meet on the third Saturday, 20th May 2023, for our 173rd monthly meeting. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, Subhash Garu. We'll now close the meeting.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. I'll now close down the meeting.
Thank you. Good night.